We don't know what's ahead of us. I was meeting with our staff recently, and they were talking about how they can do ministry without the help of God and without God's assistance, that they can just operate on their own abilities and their own capabilities, and they can just do pretty well, but they didn't want to do just well. They wanted not good, but they wanted great. And I had to quickly tell them, ladies and gentlemen, you don't understand. Your pastor can't do anything by himself. Because I don't have the understanding, I don't have the grasp to wrap my hands around what has taken place and what is taking place today and how that's going to affect generations after generations after generations. Many of you are dealing with things that took place in 1935. You're dealing with things that are taking place today. You're making decisions and directing things that are going to affect generation after generation. And we go through life just thinking, I just want to do it the way I feel like things need to be done. And then God quickly reminds us, please understand and please remember, Isaiah, that my thoughts are not your thoughts, God would say, nor my ways your ways. Please don't operate in this life in your ways as God told the prophet Hosea, sow for yourself righteousness and reap the fruit of unfailing love and break up your unplowed ground, for it's time to seek the Lord until He comes and showers of righteousness on you. But you have planted wickedness. You have reaped evil. You have eaten the fruit of deception because you have depended on your own strength. May it be, if we hear nothing else, that we realize that if we're operating in our strength, if we're operating in our understanding that there is something better and more available to each one of us, and it is His ways, it is His thoughts. God says, my thoughts and my ways are higher than the heavens. Oh, so many of us love the state of Alabama. We love the people that we are called to serve. And how blessed we would be if we could operate, if we could lead in such a way that we care more about other people and other things than we do ourselves. Here we are, that the decisions that many of you make in the next coming months are going to affect your children and your grandchildren. They're going to affect things that we don't realize. Did you ever think 20 years ago we would be where we are today? And now we find ourselves today trying to shape the future for tomorrow. How do we deal with that? How do we walk not in our thoughts but His thoughts? Some gentlemen came to Jesus one time in His ministry, and they had that Old Testament that was laid out there, and he said, could you just tell us, could you just sum all of this up? Trying to trick him, trying to catch him. No matter what he said, they would find something against him. And Jesus, being Jesus, said, you know, if you want me to answer that, I'll answer it this way. Why don't you just love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your strength, with all of your mind, with everything you have? Why don't you just love God? If you'd like to have something else to chew on, could you just love your neighbor as yourself? Could you do that? Could you make decisions? Could you lead? Could you impact the next generation that's following us? Could you lead it in such a way that these men and women loved God with all that they had? They depended on Him. They relied on Him. And they cared more about other people than they did themselves. They loved their neighbor as themselves. Jesus said, if you want to know what that looks like, greater love has no man than this, and a man will lay down his life for his friend. Will you lay down your life? Will you lay down your life? As leaders, we're all called to do that. I'm called to lay down my life for the family of First Baptist Church of Trustful and all of that surrounding area. You're called to lay down your life for the person across the aisle, for the person that you don't like, Sermon on the Mount, for the person that may not be like you. Would you love your neighbor as yourself? What are you going to lead us? What are you going to leave us when you're springing up daisies, when God's called you home? I don't have the ability. I'm too simple-minded to understand what that is. But I can grasp my hands around the very fact that if I love God with all of my heart and all of my soul and all of my strength and all of my mind, I love other people more than I do myself, that God there has something He can work with. There He has something that He can bless. May God bless you as you lead, as you make decisions, as you impact my children, my future grandchildren. We're counting on you. We're counting on you.